Hello everyone, I'm Beth Krom, and I'm here to read you a story today. I'm reading you a story as part of the PJ Library program at the Jewish Federation of Family Services here in Orange County. I am a member of the Jewish community. I am somebody who served as a public official here in the city of Irvine for 16 years, and for 4 of those years, from 2004 to 2008, I was mayor of the city of Irvine. So I just want to say it was an honor to serve the community and to be a part of city government. There are a lot of people who have to work to keep our city safe and well protected, our police officers, our firefighters, all of our healthcare workers are working very hard now, so we need to appreciate all of those people who help to make our cities work well. The story I'm going to read today, I did want to point out that was my official photo when I was at City Hall, and so I don't know, there you go. So that was me when I was mayor. But for today, I'm a storyteller. And actually, the fun thing about the story that I'm going to be reading today is that I actually wrote it. And it's a story that's written in verse. And verse is a way of writing so that things rhyme. And it is a story about a holiday that's coming up next week. Does anybody know what that holiday is? That's right, Passover. So we're going to be having Passover next week. And the book I'm going to be reading is called My Very Versed Passover. Not my very first Passover, but my very versed Passover, meaning it's a book of verses about Passover. And I wrote the verse, but this was illustrated by Gabby Abramson, and you see her name is there too. So it was written by Beth Krom, and it was illustrated by Gabby Abramson. And Gabby is a very talented artist who also grew up here in Orange County. So the book starts with this blank page, but what does that look like? Right, it looks like matzah. And matzah is something that we eat on Passover. It's one of the many traditional foods that we eat on Passover. And before the book actually starts, Gabby put something in here about her and me. So that was her drawing of me. Do you think that looks like me? I think it's pretty good. And then that's Gabby. She's much younger and she has longer hair. And on the first page, we have an illustration of some things that should look familiar if you've been to a Passover Seder before. What do you see there? You see a glass of wine that's spilling, and horseradish and parsley and a shank bone, and we have some chopped liver and matzah and a lovely bowl of chicken soup. And this is how it begins. It's Passover time, and the matzah is flying. The liver is chopping, and the onions are frying. The brisket is roasting, the kugel is browning, the eggs are a-boiling, and the chicken is drowning. In the chicken soup, that is. See, there's the chicken in the chicken soup. And here's a view of the table. And look, Grandpa's fallen asleep at the table. And there's the dog. The dog wants to eat already, but they have to do the Seder. We're gathered together, and the table looks great. For effect, we've included a big Seder plate. Cooked traditional foods, made the matzah balls fluffy. Do you like fluffy matzah balls? I do. Bub's chopped liver, so tasty. And Mom's brisket, it's not toughy. It's a Passover dinner, Elijah's cup filled with wine. And the chairs lined with pillows, so we all can recline. Because that's what you're supposed to do at Passover. You're supposed to recline. And this little boy here, he's hungry. He says, "I'm starving. How long until we get to eat?" "Wake up, Grandpa." Now, who can guess what we're going to be talking about here? The 4 sons. And do you remember what each of the sons were? There's the wicked son, the simple son, the smart son, and the son who's too young to play any part. And this is what I wrote. We could talk of 4 sons, wicked, simple, and smart, and the 4th one too young to play any part. Or say the 4 questions from finish to start. But instead, let's remember them all in our heart. The next page, we talk about the 10 plagues. Do you remember what those 10 plagues are? No Haggadah to read from, but 10 plagues we'll recall. Please join together as we recite them all. Blood, frogs, lice, flies, cattle, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, and the slaying of the firstborn. And look at the picture that Gabby made to show all of those plagues. Can you see which of the plagues are illustrated there? Plagues are not fun. It doesn't really matter which plague you're dealing with. You don't want to have locusts or flies or slaying of the firstborn. That was the biggest one of all. So here we have a picture of where? Can you tell? Does that look like Egypt? What are these? Yeah, those are pyramids. And when the Jews were slaves in Egypt, they were forced to help build those pyramids. We're part of a history of which we can be proud. Jews have not had it easy, but hey, join the crowd. We all know the story, how the Jews fled in haste to escape Pharaoh's wrath and flee hardship we faced. How we had been slaves, and from bondage we fled, without any time to bake proper bread. So because we couldn't bake proper bread, what happened? Did the bread rise? If it was flat, what do we now have at our Passover Seder that reminds us of that flat bread? Is it matzah? Do you enjoy matzah? Do you make matzah brai or matzah kugel? This isn't a real matzah. That's why it has a tag on it. On this page, we have the whole family sitting together and reading about Passover. We must always remember we're a link in a chain and find strength and redemption from our hardship and pain. And if we look back upon slavery, oppression, but now enjoy freedom and true self-expression, let's not forget those who don't have what we do. Let's stand up for what's right, be forthright and true, give comfort and aid, lend others a hand, and remember that we were once slaves in that land. And what's that above the family? Is that the Star of David? The Jewish star. And here everyone is gathered around the table and enjoying the Passover Seder. The verse is now ending, so our meal we can eat, though just being together here is really a treat. Let's always make time to remember the past, but right now let's be grateful. It's mealtime at last. And let's look at that table and see what they have on that table. What can you see that's on that table that's going to be part of their Passover Seder? Are they eating chicken soup? Ooh, there's a beautiful chicken in the middle of the table. A Seder plate. And here is a close-up of that Seder plate. Can you read what's on the Seder plate? Can you find the hard-boiled egg, the shank bone, the bitter herbs, the haroseth, the egg, the moror? And that's the end. More matzah. I thought I would also share with you this little Seder plate. Glass of wine. And here we have a Seder plate that has an apple. I've never put an apple on my Seder plate, but I have put greens on my Seder plate, and I've put an egg on my Seder plate, and bitter herbs on my Seder plate, and a shank bone on my Seder plate. So this is sort of a play Seder plate, and that goes with our play matzah. But I also have a real Seder plate. And doesn't that look like the one that's in the book? And she didn't even copy it from this, but she must have the same one. So this is the Seder plate that we use for our Passover Seder. We also have the cup of Elijah and candlesticks. And most Jewish holidays have candles and wine. There won't be a challah at Passover because we don't eat bread on Passover. But again, plenty of matzah. So I hope you enjoyed my Very Versed Passover. Again, this was presented by PJ Library and the Jewish Federation and Family Services. If you'd like to learn more, go to PJ Library/Passover, and you can get more resources for the holiday to help you celebrate. Passover will be a little different this year because of the changes that we've had to make with COVID-19. But I hope that your families will sit together and talk about the traditions that your parents grew up with and the things that you like most about Passover and the foods that you like to eat. And I hope you have a very, very happy holiday. So it's been a pleasure to be with you, and Chag Sameach.